Timestamp. It is March 13th, 2026, Friday the 13th. 7:30 a.m. I've been up probably about 30 minutes. We did the cat parade, filled everybody up. Woke up to Journey to Babel. It was just going off, and then Friday's Child started up. I'll probably keep it on Star Trek for another day or two. Looks like Doctor Who may be running smoothly again. But looking at the menu screen, Rebos Operation was playing currently on Roku, Doctor Who. Key to Time. It's like, my God, guys. That was actually what made me stay on Trek last night. Is every now and then with the Pluto and Roku whatnot, if it's been on for a while, it'll go back to a menu screen, kind of that whole, not quite are you still watching, but I guess it assumes that you're not, so it goes back a half step. And I saw that Rebos Operation was playing, and they were doing season 2 of Classic Trek, and I'm like, I love them both. You know, it's like choosing from a favorite radio station. It's not that big a deal, but it's just key to time. Y'all might burn me out on Mary Tam if you keep doing this. You know what I mean? I don't know. Health check. I feel okay. Still chest tightness, you know. And I've been watching some videos on cancer symptoms and stuff like that. Just because, you know, I'm in my 50s and I'm trying to be aware of, you know, what is the stuff that I should be looking for. And I'm not really showing any symptoms of anything like that. And I'm looking at all the, you know, prostate, colon, all the 50-something, you know. There's a YouTube channel, I think it's a Patient Story or something like that, and it's real life people that had been diagnosed with something and what they went through and early symptoms. So anybody that looks at my history is probably going to think I'm a hypochondriac, but with everything I've watched my parents go through, and the fact that I'm not really seeing the doctor on the regular because I am seeing the doctor on the regular, you know, via Roku. That's not quite the same thing. I did go in 2 years ago for full checkup, blood screening, all that stuff, and everything came back negative. I mean, that's when they discovered my emphysema, but she barely caught it, so that's a good sign as long as I quit smoking, which I am working on. And I'm pre-diabetic, which diabetes runs in my mom's family. My grandmother had it, my aunt, which is to say my mom's sister, and I still don't know if she's still alive. I haven't been able to find her, which is weird. But if my Aunt Betty, this is going to sound awful, she'd be a couple years older than my mom, so she's in her, if she's still alive, she's in her high 80s. Now my mom was saying that over the past year or two, when she was alive, that she called Betty once a month. But here's the thing, I looked at her phone logs, because I had her cell phone and all that. There were no calls to Betty. And here's the thing, knowing now that my mom was also having cognitive decline, I don't know if she was imagining the phone calls or not, in the same way that my dad was imagining the burglar. I don't know. Betty has had 2 kids, Patricia and Paul, who are my cousins, and they are slightly older than me. They would be probably in their early 60s. Yeah, they'd be in their early 60s. this is the part where it's like, this may sound awful. They may have put their mom in a home or something. If she is still alive, I don't know. I haven't been able to find any like phone number, address. The phone number I had for her just goes straight to voicemail, and I've left a couple messages over the past year, you know, if nothing else, to let her know, hey, your sister died. You know, we're a close family. We're really tight. The last time I saw my cousins, I saw my aunt probably about 20 years ago. Yeah. Ish. She and my Uncle Russ, who is passed, I know that, came down and dropped by, met Pix, because they hadn't met my wife. We'd been together for 10 years, hadn't met her. You know, held baby, you know, that kind of like meet and greet, just afternoon visit, went to lunch. It was nice. My Aunt Betty's cool. But that's the last time I had contact with her. I don't know. I know she was at my grandmother's funeral, which would have been 15 years ago or so. But, you know, you're talking about a lady who would be 89, somewhere in there. You know, Paul, Patty she might be homed. You know, that's if she's still alive. I don't even know. So, but yeah, diabetes runs in my mom's family. And the women in my mom's family are traditionally of a good, sturdy German Czechoslovakian stock. My alarm went off. It would not be hard to imagine any of the women in my family with a horned helmet singing on stage. Put it that way. That is Helga, you know. That's pretty typical, the women in my family. And because I'm just that, and my mom was a voice major. She was a classical voice major, so it really, that's one thing. In the graveyard scene in the Haunted Mansion, there's the long braided opera singers, the opera singer towards the end with the horned helmet and whatnot. Anytime I go in Haunted Mansion and I see that character, and I should look it up just to see what her backstory is, because people have invented, there's like canonized backstories for a lot of the different like ghosts and stuff like that. Anytime I see her, I'm like, she's probably in my family somewhere. She's probably a relative. I've never actually uttered that to anyone. It's just always in the back of my head. So, you're the first. Mom? Yeah, so the pre-diabetic thing didn't like, you know, that wasn't like a giant reveal. But I do the Ceylon cinnamon, and there's a green powder, it's like a barley or something like that I typically add to like my yogurts and stuff, which is supposed to help regulate blood sugar too. I'm trying to keep that down. Even if I did get diabetes, it would be that kind that I can regulate through diet, typically, you know. And I know I'm going to have to probably keep that monster at bay, you know, all my days, but nothing else popped. They did like the full blood screening and all that kind of stuff, poop smear, you know. But you start questioning things when you see people around you start dropping and the older generation starting to take their final bows. At least I do. I can't speak for every 50-something, but, you know, you start asking those questions, start looking for answers. But everything that I'm seeing so far, I'm not really showing any of the symptoms. I did look up the whole chest tightness, and I'm getting, every now and then I'll get like a sharp pain, like middle of my chest. And that's typically anxiety or panic attack. It's not normally anything else. That's normally what that's attributed to. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, that clocks. You know, the stress test chart thing, I've got like over 300 points, so, and 100's, you know, high stress, so a lot has happened. It is what it is, right? Man, I hate that phrase, but I understand the wisdom in it now. I always hated "it is what it is" because it almost implies that you have no ability to change stuff. And I do believe in, you know, affirmations, positive thinking, manifesting, whatever you want to call it. So the idea of "it is what it is" just almost seems dismissive, like I have no ability to alter anything around me, I'm just stuck. And I hate that kind of forfeiture of ability to pivot. Does that make sense? It's like resignation. Oh, it is what it is. Not much I can do about it. Oh well. Morning, Piglet. You know. And I don't believe in that. You know, I do believe certain circumstances can get you a little stuck, but I don't believe in the no-win scenario. Going back to my Trek roots there. But I don't. I'd like to think that most situations can be a win-win, as long as everybody's willing to be grown-ups about it. But in this particular verse of the multiverse, we got a lot of people that aren't willing to be grown-ups. And there are a couple of rooms where there are no grown-ups in the room, which terrifies me a little bit. Picks should be coming over today because it's Friday. I mean, it changes from week to week, but lately it's been kind of Tuesday, Friday. I got 3 packages to go to the post office. Well, maybe 2, maybe 3. Guy has been haggling me on a couple of Scooby-Doo lots, just really lowballing. And I finally, after 3 days of, no, I'm not taking that, but I'll take this, you know, counter offering, finally got to a price where I'm like, you know what, sure. You know, I'm taking $16 for a $20 lot and $11 for a $15 lot. You're getting $4 off each. Fine. Just shut up. But I mean, he had offered me like $7 for a $20 lot. It's like, no. He offered me $5 the first time. It's like, dude, go home. Yeah, he offered me $5, and I think I countered with like 17. I'm like, I'll go to 17 out of 20. I'm not going down to 5. We've been trying to pass marijuana laws here in Florida for a while now. I don't care where you are. Yeah, no, it's just like, dude, stop it. Yeah. Feeling a little old school video game action here. We're doing some Harry and David butterscotch caramel. One of my favorites. It's good stuff. So I explored the shed yesterday. There's a shed in the backyard that my dad pulled a trailer right up to the doors. The trailer's full of bicycles, because, well, why wouldn't it be? We can't move the trailer. We don't have anything with a hitch, and it's a metal constructed trailer that my dad can could weld. I don't think I'd trust him with one right now. No, I don't think I'd trust him with one right now. No, just kind of letting the thought, nope. Do not hand that man a blowtorch. So we parked it right at the mouth of the trailer, and Pix brought up the very good point of, he's trying to secure it from the burglar, but is there something in there that we should know about? Because we're still trying to figure out, if he did tuck some of his, rifles somewhere, or if, maybe the important paperwork got put in there, and then he locked the shed and then parked a trailer in front of it as a barricade. And it's a good thought. But no. I spent about 2-3 hours in there yesterday looking in every box. It's nasty. Because it's a locked aluminum garden shed with a trailer blocking it. But this is Florida. Thousands of silverfish and a few cockroaches to go with it. Pix would not have survived the encounter. It's nasty. And it was hard to get in there. I had to kind of shimmy in between the trailer and the front of the shed. But I was probably the best choice to do it. So, I mean, Alex honestly is skinnier than me, but he wouldn't have been able to do the heavy lifting in there. So, he can get in there, but that's where the story ends, So, it's me. Looked in everything. Dad had complained a while back that Mom's Christmas buying was getting out of control to the point where he had to build another shed to store it all. His words. So he had been maintaining that was all Christmas stuff, which over half of it is Christmas decoration stuff. And it's a square shed, but he actually didn't pack it full. It's just shelves on the outside that are full of stuff, and you can actually walk in the center part. Which was also odd that he would barricade something still having that kind of room available. Which, again, Pix brought that up, and I'm like, yeah, why would he do that? He's crying about storage space, and yet he had storage space there and then barricaded it off. I need to get in there. Because we're still trying to figure out, what all he has done. A lot of Christmas ornaments, a lot of old school Christmas craft stuff. There's a lot that it's still in there. It was hard to get anything out. I did get a few things out, but it's hard to get anything out of there. But I didn't grab any Christmas craft stuff. We're talking it'll be a little plastic bag with good example, there were plastic candy canes, white plastic with blue stripe, red stripe, green stripe, and little cardboard, stapled. The kind you'd find at Dollar Tree or something now, but the cardboard hanger was almost a flat dark green cardstock with basic print on it, whatnot. Talking craft store items from maybe the 70s and 80s. Not a whole lot of glitz or glamour to the packaging. Pretty low key old school craft store kind of stuff. So I'm not sure about the value. And again, silverfish. So some of the stuff. Silverfish are the bane of the librarian. They thrive on paper, cardboard, very, very edible for them. So anything paper or cardboard in there, number one, it may be infested. Number two, it may be damaged, which is a problem. Found a couple boxes of VHS tapes. Found a box of audio cassettes. Found a couple boxes of our board games from when I was a kid, which pains me because you're talking some 70s, late 60s, Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley stuff, which, if it were in better shape, would be worth some money. But silverfish, so some of it looks pretty rough. Which, that ain't good. And I couldn't really get it out. So, and I don't know that I'd want to bring 30 pounds of silverfish into the house. I think that could end poorly. I may lob a grenade in there. We've got some bug bombs. Probably when we get closer to actually stripping the shed, I may throw one of those in there. I bought a couple cases of the bug bombs a while back, knowing that we'd probably need it. Thinking that we might need it for the main house to take out the bed bugs, but I think we've won that. I haven't seen a bed bug in like 3 months. So maybe using some of the industrial sprays that I was getting through Amazon and just being diligent and vigilant, we may have actually won that. Because I would think one of them would have turned up by now. Haven't seen any. And we were seeing them. Nasty little. I did find a notebook with all of my mom's notes on Colonel Coker, which Colonel Coker down here was a con artist. He was a fraudster who was selling some legitimate antiques and a lot of fabrications, reproductions, and he was selling them as originals. He eventually went to jail for these things, but not before doing business with my parents on a few occasions. She's got a big old notebook full of stuff that they had bought from him, like her notes about what they paid, price, what he was valuing it at. That may help us when we start looking through some of that here, just to figure out what are we looking at, in case Google Lens doesn't quite do it for us. We might have some notes to fall back on. And that was actually kind of encouraging when I found that in there, because I'm like, ooh, okay, this is like important paperwork. This is the kind of stuff my mom would have kept, secure. Maybe that means there's other, important secure paperwork or something in here. But no, just randomly there. Weird. There's some gardening stuff in there, pesticides, things like that, which they're not doing their job in the bottle, that's for sure. 3 broken microwaves. These are things that I tried to throw out in 23. Because I'm like, Dad, it's going to cost $100, $200 to fix them, and you can get new ones for under $100. No, I can fix those. When? No, I'll get around to it. I've always got projects. Yeah, I know. You keep adding 20 projects and getting done 2. Your project list is the size of the Library of Congress at this point. Well, you know your father, he works on the projects. Not so much now, but yeah, I know he did. He's not checking anything off the list. He wasn't getting anything done in the past year or 2 that he was here. He was just walking in a circle trying to fortify the place because of the burglar. But that's what happens when you've got a paranoid man with dementia and no one's watching him. True story. But yeah, I did find this. I was able to get out because the box wasn't too big. Kind of interesting. Oh, there you go. Got a whole box of these. We had these when I was a kid. Like 30 of them. These are Tomy Pocket games. Most of them are from the mid-70s. Yeah, this one's 1976 Tomy Pocket Pachinko game. Tomy Pocket Marble Catch game. Very old school. These were a big deal in the 70s. These were from 76 also, yeah. And these, I grabbed them because I know that these have some value to them. And it was something that I could save, you know what I mean? Something that maybe I could prevent from being eaten by silverfish. So I'm like, oh, let me grab those. There's actually some pretty interesting stuff here, some interesting treasures, but it's a matter of sifting through the rubble, and there's a lot of treasures that just got destroyed because they weren't stored correctly. You know, we got a box of movie posters from the 70s that was left in the rain. You know, some original Star Wars posters, Rocky Balboa, the original Rocky, the first one, you know, Conan the Barbarian, you know, that kind of stuff. Destroyed. They're all stuck together in a big roll of absolutely destroyed. Probably 100, 200 posters. And as someone who ran a shop, I know that some of those are like, because they're authentic. You know what I mean? They're not like reproductions. They're the real deal. They're $50, $100, $500 easily destroyed. You know, that box of stuck cardstock would have been worth thousands of dollars. Yes, sir. Yep. There's actually some Mork and Mindy posters in there. The TV show that started Robin Williams' career. I mean, realistically, that's what started Robin Williams' career. Yep. The rainbow overalls, or suspenders, whatnot. Look it up. Hardy Boys TV show. There were some posters of that. Is that Parker Stevenson? Late 70s. I think there were some Dukes of Hazzard posters too. Destroyed. Damn it, guys. You know? That made me cry. Not literally, but inside I cried. And I showed Tiny, and Tiny was like, okay, I'm like, walked through what we were looking at, and then it was, oh man. Yeah. Damn it. But yeah, all three broken microwaves. One of them I actually threw out, and I watched my dad pull it out of the trash can and drag it around back. I think part of the dementia also lends to like this paranoid hoarding. I think the idea of not being able to get rid of anything, like you're going to need everything. Because I noticed that they were saving stuff that very obviously was trash, but no, this has use, and it's like, and I'm all about recycling. I have saved yogurt cups because they make really good seed starters for planting. I understand that. They were going a step beyond that. I'm wondering if it's some kind of a dementia, like a really, really detailed dementia symptom that I just haven't seen anybody like put, in a list somewhere. It's interesting. I don't know. Oh, I found a sailboat too. Yeah, so there was one box that was like Christmas decoration, like big old list on the outside of the box. It was in my dad's writing. And the last thing on it was and sailboat. And I was like, well, that's kind of a strange. That's not a Christmas deco thing. What the hell are you getting at? So I start fishing through the box. I'm like, what is this sailboat? Sailboat. It's the only thing that he might have thought was a sailboat. That is a Jedi Starfighter. And I looked it up because I wasn't sure whose it was. I knew it wasn't Anakin's. I was like, is that Obi-Wan's? Is that one of Obi-Wan's? It's Sakura. But I didn't know that at a glance. I'm a fan, but I'm not. If you were showing me something Doctor Who or Star Trek, I'd know what it was. Star Wars, I don't know everything. I did read the Timothy Zahn novels when I was a teenager, whatnot. I am easily conversation fluent, but I don't know that I'm like doctorate degree fluent. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's missing probably the rockets and whatnot, and he was missing the canopy, which that apparently is going to be a real problem. It's got a lot of damage to it. I need to replace the screws. They're all rusty. The canopy is going to be an issue. But I'm not going to resell it. Based on the size of it, it'll work real well for my hangar dioramas. So if I'm canopy less, if that's, one of the ships in the background being worked on, that actually works out okay. It'll be pretty when I'm done, but she's a mess. And it's a sailboat. Exactly. It's a sailboat. Okay. Sure. Sailboat. Damn, I can't even. Yeah, I pulled it out of the box. I'm like, this has got to be your sailboat. Wow. Okay. Sure. Trust nothing that you read here. Nothing. So, I got to cross the shed off my list last night, doing my recap. It's a good feeling, because I've been wanting to get around to doing that for a little while now. And I got done just as a storm started here. Dragging everything up onto the lanai where it's at least not going to get directly wet. Not everything, but the few things that I did grab. Because most of the stuff that I was pulling out of there, I got like a couple of really big, like Walmart boxes, like shipping boxes. Those will be useful because we always use boxes around here. Some empty totes that I managed to squoze out. that were empty, just hanging out in there. A couple of rolls of trash bags that were in there. Just some odds and ends. There was a cracker tin, one of the big green Keebler crackers. And I was like, my dad loves putting things in tins. I'm like, ooh, I wonder. It was actually crackers. And you ever smelled really, really, really stale crackers? It hangs with you. It hangs with you. But, much like 20-year-old tomato soup, we should hang on to that in case doomsday happens. Okay. So yeah, I dumped that. I was a little excited too. Rusty old tin, kind of stuff rattling around in there. I'm like, And as I was getting it open, I'm like, man, it's going to just be crackers. It's going to be just mother crackers. Just crackers. Very, very Capone safe, Wrong castle, Geraldo. Right? Man, that was some disappointing TV. But, yeah, I'm working. I transferred my list last night, redid it, and right now I'm working on my grocery list because Epix is coming over, which I'm going to refresh that. I'm a little concerned. That's really weird. Epix said she was going to be pretty much relaxing yesterday, which, cool, We've been through a lot, so yeah, take a day. That's fine. If you feel like you need to take a mental health day or something like that, do it. We've bootstrapped in our lifetime. We know how to bootstrap, so I don't need that lecture from any of those hacks. The ones that have been handed everything. Yeah. Thanks. But one of the ways, because she's rubbish at texting me to let me know everything's cool, that she's okay. We've had enough health scares that we try and check in once a day just to make sure we're okay. And we did text briefly yesterday afternoon after I got out of the shed, but that was 2 in the afternoon. And she hasn't been on Steam since, which, for a day of relaxing, her not being on Steam playing some video games, it's kind of weird. So, I don't know. I'm not nervous yet, but I'm concerned, Because I like the girl. We don't manage each other, but we are partners. So, you okay? I'm going to get back to it. Make some breakfast, dishes, it'll be fun. So, hug your parents, hug your kids, play a game without silverfish. Make it a great day.